Hello, and welcome to reCapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at reCapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Hello, Ashley.
Hello, darling. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. And I'm also a little sad. This is our final advanced conversation ahead of the Dayton Black Women's Film Festival happening May 15th through the 18th. And I'm just mixed emotions, Ashley, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great ride. It's been so lovely to talk to the Black women filmmakers who are inspiring us with the films and shorts that they're showing, and also doing some workshops this year. So, I mean, it's been a pleasure. It's not the end of the road whatsoever. So,
not at all.
Another conversation. Excited to have it.
Absolutely. We have the wonderful, the talented Aisha Ford. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Ashley, because you have our first question.
All right. Well, we'll start it off as we do all of these conversations, Aisha, which is asking you to please walk us through the highlights of your career journey so far as an award-winning filmmaker, writer, and director.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Highlights. Wow. I'd say my very first one is that I was able to create a short film during COVID. And that was Brownies, the one that's going to be screening at the Dayton Black Women's Film Festival. And I'm really excited about that one. Another highlight was when I got accepted into NYU.
Yeah.
Major key. Shout out DJ Khaled.
I took a gap year and I didn't know what I wanted to pursue or if I wanted to actually go to graduate school. But I was like, why not? So I filled out the application and I got accepted. And I think another highlight is just I continue to make films. I get to make films. And I feel like, without doing that, it's like the passion, and it's sort of like something I would do for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish I can continue to make films, continue to bring people of color filmmakers on board and tell their stories and help tell their stories as well.
What was that like making a film during COVID in particular? We know it was so difficult for so many reasons, mentally, physically, for all of us, the separation, the restrictions. What additional barriers were there for you as a filmmaker?
So Brownies, I had a lot of kids. And their hours was way worse than what it used to be without COVID protocol. I think it was like 2 hours on set, but then maybe an hour break and then a distance. So that was sort of challenging. Like, how do I get all these kids in the same frame without breaking the COVID protocols?
Wow.
Working with kids alone, challenging.
I know, but those logistics seem pretty intense. What part of the filmmaking process brings you the most joy?
I would say writing, but that's a lie. I feel like casting brings me the most joy. It's like seeing your characters pop out on the screen for the first time, and you're there witnessing words come out their mouth, and there's something about being in that moment. And a character you've been working on for so long is just right there, speaking to you, hearing you out. And I think that's why I love the process of casting, because that's one of the first stages to say, hey, I'm actually making the film.
Your films feature such dynamic performances. What is your process for selecting actors, and how crucial is casting to the success of your project?
I remember one day I saw this girl at Subway. I was like, oh my God, you look like you can play one of my characters. So I walked up to her random and say, hey, I'm making a movie. Would you like to audition? And, I think that's my approach. I want to find someone that's like really authentic in that character, someone that look and feels like the character that I've written, and people that's like that doesn't have the experience of like going to acting school,
Mm,
ones that you can tell by their mannerisms that they live as this character.
I'm telling you, baby girl, Sydney, April Simone. I'm like, in both, I saw Be a Fish and Breathe.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, phenomenal. And then, of course, Royal. Her name is it Samaya Chappelle. Phenomenal. Like, I was about to cry, like with her. You know what I mean? Especially when that principal did that thing. I'm like, not today. But yeah, I love it. Love it. Love it.
I would say Sydney's my niece.
Aw, love that.
Um,
I love that. She's phenomenal.
So,
yeah,
do you typically do like people that you already have in mind for it, or do you ever do like casting calls?
casting calls. Let's see. Yeah, for Brownies, I did a casting call. For Be a Fish, it was more since I knew I was writing a 9-year-old kid. I was like, oh, Sydney can play that. And, I based it off her a little bit. And for Royal, since I worked with Samaya before in my other short film, Ren, I sort of knew that she can bring that character to life. I think the first ever casting call I had with like an actual casting director was on Cherry Lemonade. And that's when we actually
Mm,
made casting sheets, reached out, auditions, and asked if, hey, I think one of my producers knew
mm.
and that's how I got in contact with him. And then after Skyland was on board, that's when Eris Baker came on board as well.
So, speaking of these short films, right? Royal, Cherry Lemonade, Be a Fish. How much of your own experiences did you tap into for characters like Jasmine, Phoenix, and Taylor?
I would say like 90%, 90%. Yeah, not personally from my own life, but from my friends or my family's life. So Be a Fish was based on my sister, and she hated getting her hair washed, and she actually thought she was drowning in a basement. I'm like, we bring this story up every time we go home. Like, girl, you was not drowning.
So, what was her reaction to the film when she saw it?
She's like, that's not me.
I was watching it with my little girl. She's 7. And she's like, what are they doing? I'm like, it's called kitchen hair. But I mean, they were in the basement in the movie, but I'm like, this is how we used to do our hair back in the day. I don't do our hair like that. So she was just like, what is this? I'm like, believe you me, I've been through that process. Ooh, it is part of what a rite of passage as a Black woman, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's visceral, right? I had a visceral reaction to her reaction because it's like, I remember those times of being a little kid. The last thing you really want to do is get your hair done and be fooled around with and all this stuff. And then as an adult, your hair is still, as a Black woman in particular, such a big factor. How you style it, what you're going to do, how other people interpret you based on how you wear your hair, all this stuff
The
forms our
schedule,
identity. Yeah.
the season, the
Going
seasonal
on
schedule.
vacation. I know in advance what I'm about. Delora was asking me before we started recording, how are you wearing your hair for the film festival? Like I already know, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so what's the most personal project for you to date that taps most into like your experiences?
I would say my feature film that I'm writing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is something we're going to be seeing soon.
Yes. Manifest. Yes.
Yes, love that.
Can we get like a little overview, like a little snippet of what we can expect?
Yeah. So it's basically a coming of age family drama, short film that deals with a 13-year-old girl realizing how special she is.
Mm,
And it's based on one of my short films, Ren. And that one's personal because I feel like in Ren there was a small amount of time I had to work with this character. But now since it's extended to like an hour and some change, I feel like I'm putting myself on this page more and more. And sometimes I'm fighting with myself as well because it's kind of hard like writing yourself in a way that you have flaws. Like I would never do that. Like we're human. And so that's why I feel like this one is my personal one. Because I can write about anybody else, honestly. I like, your flaw is this, like your mistakes is that, whatever, whatever. But if it's actually me and that character, I feel like I'm sort of protecting myself. I'm protecting my main character in a way that I don't want to do that.
Have you had the opportunity to see Sinners?
Yes.
At this rate, it's like you're living under a rock if you haven't, right? Because I actually want to go again. And I probably will see it in theaters for a second time. One of the things that I've loved during this press run is the conversation that Ryan Coogler has been having about filming in IMAX. And in one of his interviews in particular, he was so giddy about the film that like they had clips of film that he and Michael B. Jordan were looking at. So, as a filmmaker, do you have a preference between film or digital? And if so, why?
I would say digital. Digital because it's I feel like in this generation nowadays we can make anything look like a film that's close to looking like film.
Mm-hmm.
And for film, even though I really love like the texture and everything else, the way I work, I do a lot of takes on my film, so I know I'm probably going to need extra film, and that's extra money I'm putting toward that, and something I could put in another department.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like I'll choose digital over film today.
Makes sense.
Yes.
I noted on your site that your directing style is characterized by empathy and inclusivity. Thematically, are there topics and areas you haven't covered yet that are top of mind for your next projects?
Yeah, I have this one project I'm really excited about. It's so a lot of my films are coming of age family drama that deals with like empathy, and here's one I want to work on. It's like a more of a mystery thriller type film.
Okay.
You could say it's a mix between Bong Joon-ho's Mother and like the anime Demon Slayer. And it's all about this young girl who wants to, well, her brother actually was taken to jail and in prison, and she's trying to like set him free. And I feel like this is like my sinners. More for what Coogler says, something about like, I'm glad I'm making films for my ancestors. I'm glad I'm making films for my family, but now I want to make a film for the audience. And I feel like this is like, I've always been interested in like this thriller mystery type of vibe of films, especially like a brother and sister dynamic. So yeah, I think that's what that's jumping off of my comfortable side and into a wild side that I want to explore.
Well, you're speaking my language. I love a murder mystery. It's one of my
We
all-time favorite
recap
genres.
those way often.
Yeah. For sure.
So you mentioned your feature film. How did you know it was time to make that particular step?
For a long time, I knew I wanted to create feature films. And I feel like I've learned so much in short films that I'm actually ready to take that leap into features.
Do you feel like that's a good starting point for all directors? Like that gives you a lot of good experience, like to start with a shorter duration to help build that muscle?
Yes, absolutely. Because I feel like you can experiment more on short films in a way you can experiment on features. Because with shorts, I feel like there's something that you can have as your calling card, and in a feature, it's what you introduce yourself as in the cinema industry, right? I don't feel people take short films as serious as they do a feature.
Yeah. Narratively, what changes for you between the two? Like narratively, how do you craft your stories differently for duration?
For short films, it's just experiencing a feeling, one feeling, right? So if you want to like experience like grief, right? You don't want to pack that short film with so many scenes or so many different goals that it stands over like 40 minutes. So you can say a short film is like one scene.
The way I think about it is kind of like when people are doing biopics, the difference between trying to cover the entirety of somebody's life versus like covering an aspect of somebody's life. Yeah. That's the way I'm thinking about it in my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
What's your favorite movie or TV show and why?
That's a hard question.
It is.
We found that it's very difficult. I tell people every time I ask this question, it's like I put mine in genres. Okay. I have my comedies, my animations, my romance.
And eras. It can be based in eras too.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot because I'm saying I ain't say that my favorite movie on here, but I would say Hell County This Morning This Evening, a documentary by Ramel Ross.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
need to
Yeah,
put
add
that on
that
my
to the list.
list. Yeah.
there's something about so the documentary was based on a small town and it follows a group of black and brown kids as they're trying to navigate their social life and home and personal life. And it's the way he shot it in a way we can feel the kids on the screen. They're taken care of. It's not
Mhm.
judgmental, they're just living and we're watching that. I love films I'm just watching.
That's a great call out because documentaries can be very preachy sometimes. And I think it takes great talent to, as you mentioned, just showing someone's life without a narrative, that they're trying to push.
Do you gravitate towards potentially doing documentaries yourself, or do you like staying more in the fiction lane?
Both. Because I feel like a lot of my narrative films is sort of in that documentary track, cinema verite style,
Mhm.
camera wise, and actually like family and friends and like human.
Yeah, I mean, you put your niece and stuff. It feels a little more documentary. Is she aspiring to be an actress, or is she like, I'll do this for you because I love you?
Yeah, she actually want to be an actress now. She's a
Love
little
that.
diva. I love her.
Not a little diva. She's walking the carpet. She's going to the event. She's like, just so you know, I
I
found
want
my
my
calling.
theater. I want to get
Love it.
paid this time.
This time.
Pretty soon
I'm
she'll be like,
telling
you can no
you,
longer afford me, just so you know.
Hey,
I'm gonna gush over her performance again in Breathe when she does that little dance at the end. I'm like literally crying at the end of that film because it was just a beautiful moment.
Last year, you were the first recipient of the Bloom Award at the Dayton Black Women's Film Festival. Congratulations.
Congrats.
thank you.
What did that recognition mean to you?
Oh, it meant so much. I love Ange. I love this festival. I love what it stands for, man. I'm still excited. I'm still geeking. I was like, my heart.
That's so beautiful.
How did you and Ange get connected?
I met her when I was in Dayton and she was working on her first short. And yeah, I think she saw my first short Ren and then she approached and then we started working together on her very first short film that she shot in Dayton. So that's how we came connected.
Very nice. Is there a good community of Black women filmmakers you feel like right now?
Yeah, yeah, I would say yeah.
Well, this festival is helping, right?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
it's definitely bringing Black women together in cinema.
hmm And this year, you'll screen the Dayton premiere of your award-winning film, Brownies. Please tell us about the film a little bit more and the creative inspiration behind it.
Yeah, so Brownies is a period piece that's actually a short story that was adapted by ZZ Packard. And it follows a group of Black and Brown Girl Scouts who decide to get revenge on this other troop who they assume called them a racial slur. And I'm really excited about it is because it's a masterful exploration of Black girlhood. And it also brings up the question of what happens when victims become victimizers. I've been wanting to make this film for a couple of years now, so I'm excited that you all will be able to watch it at the festival.
Where did the story come from in your mind?
The way Black girls are treated and looked upon, and I feel like there's something, since it was part of, or since it is in the 80s, I feel like a lot of Black girls have been, you know, feeling of sort of like left out or sort of like not actually taken seriously in our
Mm.
society, and it's still like that today.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
My mind immediately went to Troop Beverly Hills. Do you remember that movie back in the day with Shelley Long? That's immediately, I said, oh, so we're getting revenge on Troop Beverly Hills. Got it. Spike Lee was an executive producer on this. What was that collaboration like for you? I know you had also gotten a grant as a part of a program previously as well. So, what is the relationship and what is the collaboration like?
Be funny. So his whole thing was like, making sure. So I showed him like the first cut of Brownies. And he said, make sure I have the music rights. You can't use Janet Jackson. Why are you using Janet Jackson? You don't got the music rights. He was like, okay. So do they say the N-word? So in the film, I leave it to the audience to put together whether they think this True Now Nine, a white troop, called them a racial slur. And I think that's one of the good things about the film is that I leave it as a question instead of a statement.
Mm.
But he wanted to know, like, did they? Did they? You the writer? Did they say it? I'm like, Spike, what do you think? I think they said it.
Well, I love how engaged he was. It sounds like he
Yeah.
was very excited and interested in the actual, like, just being a spectator, just being an audience member.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to get over like being starstruck working with Mr. Spike Lee?
It was at first until it was when he treat everybody like he treats you like you his like granddaughter or whatever. He tell you honestly, straight up, like if he hates your script, if it's not working, if you do something else, and he call you out if you being lazy or whatnot, or if you think you're being lazy. It's like, where your money at? Like, where your actors? What happened? Where you at now?
So he
So
keeps it real.
yeah,
That's good. That's good to
Yeah.
know.
Tough love, but a great mentor, sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, Aisha, you have so many accolades and accomplishments so far. Which one are you most proud of?
This might sound cheesy, but I'm proud of seeing my name as writer director on the credits.
I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I get that. Like I be geeking out when I see our podcast on Apple Podcast next to some of my people that I was listening to before I even became a podcaster. I'm like, okay, recapping the read, pinch me, That's so important too. And I love it because it is a gift to be a creative and to know that you can put pen to paper and then make something come to life. It's major. I love it.
And you also know how hard you've worked for everything you've accomplished and for seeing your name on that screen, right? It's like all the hard work and dedication and hours that get put into it. I think a lot of people don't look at entertainment as grueling to the extent that it can be too, but it can be grueling work.
Who is on your personal Mount Rushmore of filmmakers?
All right, all right, all right. I'll put you on the up and coming directors.
Yay!
Please do.
Savanah Leaf, Rashad Frett, Terrance Daye, and A.V. Rockwell.
Okay.
This is fantastic. I'm writing all of this down and I'm looking forward to looking into their projects. This is the first time someone answered the question this way, so thank you.
I know. I feel like we also need to include it in the show notes. So we'll do that as well for people who may not be familiar either. So let's discuss self-care. What do you do to maintain? I was talking a little bit about, how entertainment work can be grueling. What do you do to maintain your mental and physical health in the midst of your life and work?
I have I journal, um, and then I call my mom, and I also talk to God.
Mm,
Amen.
that's a good trifecta right there.
It really is.
So what's next for you? I know we've talked about your feature film, but what else are you working on? I mean, any creative outlet that you like to share that you're working on.
Yeah, I'm actually in talks of directing a script that I haven't written. So I'm pretty excited about that journey and seeing how that goes.
Is this a first? Would this be a first?
Yeah, the first film, yeah. It's a short film. It's a pretty piece about freedom riders.
Oh, wow.
So I'm
Nice.
pretty excited about
It's
that.
very pivotal for this time that we're in.
Yeah.
What's the worst career advice you've ever received, and how did you navigate past it?
Ooh, yeah, I couldn't wait for this question. Okay. So I feel like every set I'm on, someone asks or someone suggests that I should work with more experienced crew members or find the ones that have the most like IMDb credit. Even though it's not a particularly bad advice, but I feel like for me, I always love to work with someone that probably don't have that credit, but they have the talent. They just
Mhm.
don't have that the experience yet. I always go to like if someone say, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker," and I don't have anything, but I have an IG page, so I go to their IG page and I say, "All right, let's see your work. What you got there?" That's how I kind of scout my DP or like my gaffer or anyone else that wants to be on my crew. Instead of like going to like the professional business of IMBD or their website too, because probably don't have anything on their website right now. Because if I go to your social media, I want to see that you're a filmmaker, that you're putting something out there so that I can see and view.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my takeaway on that one. Like,
That kind of reminded me of Ryan Coogler. Like, he has his people, like production design, costumes, even her name escapes me, but I believe she was the first woman to do cinematography with IMAX
Yeah, she was just on
films.
Higher Learning's pod too, but I can't think of her name right
Yes.
now either.
Shout out to her. But it's like they worked with him in Fruitville, but he's pretty much kept his crew, as he make these epic films. And I think it's important that people invest in, people who are on their level, or as you mentioned, people who are looking for a come up instead of always looking up, because you never know when those people around you are gonna, you're gonna need them one day,
Yeah.
they'll be
Yeah,
the decision makers.
Issa said it too, right? She was like, don't try to reach out to me. Look at the people who are to the left and to the right of you and build and grow with those people. And also people need experience, right? Like if you're only ever looking for the top dogs of any industry, how's it like it's going to be a small pool of people and a very small way to enter. And Hollywood is already hard to crack into, especially for people of color and women and all of that. So the fact that you're taking that into consideration and helping people to, get that entry into the industry, super important as well. So we've heard the worst of career advice that you've received, but what advice, last question, do you have for anybody who is trying to follow along in your footsteps?
Mm, I say, don't wait. Don't wait. Go out there, make it. You know, even if you don't have that much money, you got like $50 or whatever, you can make a good movie with $50.
Doing it on your iPhone these days, right?
Exactly. And I feel like you shouldn't, wait for someone else to jump on your team or waiting for someone else to approve you or say you're successful. Just go to it yourself. And then when people start seeing what you're doing, they'll want to get on your bandwagon.
Love it.
That's real. Well, those are all our questions for today. Thank you, Aisha, so much for your time. And we are so happy that you got a chance to talk to us. I know we won't see you this year at the festival, but you, as Ashley mentioned previously, you won the Bloom Award. I think that's a wonderful legacy of your art and your talent.
Thank you. I appreciate this and appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you. And guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please share it out with everybody you know. We will be back. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.